Hi, welcome to a daily dose of anime recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the series The Quintessential Quintuplets. A young boy is compelled to tutor a set of 5 sisters who really hate to study. Despite such conditions, he manages to find out unique ways to convince them and make them attend the study sessions. Will he be able to make them pass the graduation exam, or will he be chased away by the sisters? Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episodes. The episode opens up with the main character, a schoolboy, Fuutarou Uesugi, dreaming about his wedding day. In his dream, he sees a beautiful lady getting ready for the wedding and wearing a bridal dress. To his bad luck, the face of the lady is blocked and he cannot recognize her. In the next scene, Fuutarou is at his school cafeteria buying lunch for himself. While searching for a table to sit at and have lunch, he bumps into a beautiful red-haired girl, Itsuki Nakano. After a little bit of discussion, both of them sit around the same table and start having lunch. Fuutarou takes a look at Itsuki's lunch plate and notices a variety of expensive items there. He is shocked to see someone spending so much money for just lunch. Right then, Itsuki finds Futarou's test paper on the table, and when she looks at it, she is impressed to see the perfect score. Itsuki then asks him to help her study and also offers to share her lunch with him. However, Fuutarou acts rudely and walks away by refusing her generous offer. Later, when Fuutarou is in the bathroom, he receives a call from his little sister, Raya, informing him that their father has searched for a part-time job for him where he has to tutor some girls belonging to a super rich family. She tells him that the pay is very high and his students will be his classmates, particularly Itsuki Nakano and her sisters. Back in the classroom, Itsuki is brought in front of the whole class and asked to introduce herself. As soon as Fuutarou hears her name, he is shocked as she is the one he's going to be tutoring. After her introduction, he tries to be friendly with her and offers her a seat, but angry Itsuki ignores him and walks away from him. During the break, Fuutarou tries his best to get closer to Itsuki and apologize to her, but fails. Rather, a different girl, Ichika, approaches him and asks if he is after Itsuki. When he denies it, Ichika tells him that he can always come to her if he ever has any problem or needs help. Moving on, when Fuutarou sits at a table to have his meal, Yotsuba, another girl, sits opposite him and asks him to identify his test paper. Holding 2 test papers in her hands, Fuutarou quickly tells her that the one that has the perfect score is his. For his loyalty, Yotsuba hands him both of the test papers. Annoyed, Fuutarou takes the test papers and rushes to the boys' changing room. Surprisingly, Yotsuba follows him and peeks through the door of the changing room, making the boys inside feel uncomfortable. Seeing her, Fuutarou returns her test paper and asks her to leave. Next, after school is over, Fuutarou again tries to approach Itsuki and apologize to her. Sadly, 2 other girls are talking to Itsuki and one of them, Miku, notices him. After Itsuki leaves, Miku goes to Fuutarou and asks to report his actions to Itsuki. However, Fuutarou asks her not to say anything about her friend Itsuki. Miku then walks away, not before informing Fuutarou that Itsuki is not her friend. In the following scene, Fuutarou arrives at Itsuki's apartment building but fails to enter the lift. He then climbs the stairs and finds Itsuki in the hallway. Itsuki is surprised to see him there and suggests he go away because a tutor is supposed to arrive there in no time. Hearing this, Fuutarou tells her that he is the tutor who is going to help her study, putting Itsuki in shock. Suddenly, Ichika, Yotsuba, and Miku also arrive there along with Nino, and it is revealed that the 5 of them are actually quintuplets. After this, Fuutarou waits for everyone to arrive in the living room of their apartment to begin his tutoring session, but sadly, none of the sisters show up. Soon, Nino calls everyone to have the cookies she prepared. After the girls gather in the living room to have the cookies, Fuutarou begins to tutor, but not a single one of them seems interested except for Yotsuba. Right then, Nino tells Fuutarou that if only he tastes her cookies, she will study. Hoping that she will keep her promise, Fuutarou eats the cookies and even drinks a glass of water that she brought for him. As soon as he drinks the water from the glass, he falls to the table, unconscious. Sometime later, when Fuutarou opens his eyes, he finds himself in a cab, alongside Itsuki. Itsuki is actually taking him to his home and tells Fuutarou that she found his address through his notebook. When they arrive at Futarou's house, they are greeted by Raya, who invites Itsuki to have dinner with them. Seeing a cute little girl requesting, Itsuki cannot reject it and joins Fuutarou and his family for dinner. While having dinner, Raya tells Fuutarou that as he has started tutoring, their family debts are soon to be over. Listening to this, Itsuki realizes that Futarou's family is in deep financial trouble. Later, when Itsuki is about to return home, she tells Fuutarou that he can continue tutoring her sisters. Fuutarou becomes so happy after hearing this and mentions that he just needs to teach one of them who is very weak in the study. The next day, Fuutarou again visits the quintuplets' house to tutor them. Unfortunately, the quintuplets refuse to accept him as a tutor and mention that they do not need him. To challenge their claim, Fuutarou hands them a test paper and tells them that whoever will score a passing mark of 50 on the test should never attend the tutoring sessions. Hearing this, the girls immediately agree and take the test. Sadly, not one of them scores a passing mark, and they rush toward their rooms embarrassed. On the other hand, we are shown that Fuutarou is facing hard times to manage his study along with tutoring the quintuplets. One day when he arrives late at school, he meets the 5 sisters and asks them if they have reviewed their previous test answers. Unbeknownst to him, none of them has done so, and they walk away without answering his question about the test. Later, Fuutarou tries to talk to Miku in the cafeteria but is disturbed by Yotsuba, who claims that they should not ruin their school days just by reading and giving tests, but should fall in love and have some fun. She then asks Miku if she likes anyone. To their surprise, Miku does not say anything and leaves the place. Inside the classroom, Fuutarou finds a letter from Miku where she has asked him to meet her at the school's rooftop after school. Looking at the letter, Fuutarou starts assuming that Miku likes her, but when he meets her on the rooftop, Miku tells him that she actually likes the Japanese warlords and is ashamed to accept it in front of others. Fuutarou takes her situation as an opportunity and tells her that he can tutor her about the warlords as he has obtained perfect marks in history. Hearing this, Miku gets impressed and asks him a question related to warlords. Sadly, Fuutarou cannot answer it, and Miku realizes that he is just trying to use her. In the following scene, Fuutarou checks out a lot of books from the library related to warlords and begins reading them. In their next meeting, Fuutarou tells Miku that he is now ready to answer all of her warlords-related questions. However, Miku is in no mood to talk to him and runs away from there with Fuutarou following her. After a bit of running, Miku gives up and sits on a bench. Fuutarou then brings her a soda as a peace offering and gives an answer to the question that she asked him the previous day. Miku then tells him that she is the biggest loser among her sisters, but Fuutarou reveals to her that she is the one who obtained the highest marks on his test. He also discovers that each of them correctly answered different questions. He takes this as a motivation and continues to support a disheartened Miku, telling her that she too has the potential to score good marks and pass the graduation. Later, Fuutarou finds Yotsuba studying in the library alone. He approaches her and tells her that it would be great if the other girls will also follow her. Surprisingly, Miku arrives there and grabs some books from the shelf and joins them for a study session. The next day, Fuutarou arrives at the quintuplets' apartment building and struggles to open the electric entrance door. Luckily, Miku arrives there and helps him to get through it. He then stands in the living room and calls the sisters to attend the tutoring session. To his annoyance, none of the sisters listen to him and compels him to visit their rooms. Later, 4 of the quintuplets except Nino gather in the living room to study. But this does not last long as Nino has no interest in studying and she decides to ruin the session. She climbs downstairs and sends away each of her sisters, taking advantage of their weak points. To her surprise, when she tries to do the same with Miku, she refuses to fall into her trap and decides to study with Fuutarou. Hearing this, Nino challenges Miku to a cooking competition and mentions that if she wins, there will be no study session. If Miku wins, she will attend the session with her. Despite Fuutarou trying to stop Miku from accepting this silly challenge, she does not listen to him and follows Nino to the kitchen. After a while, both of the sisters prepare a dish for Fuutarou and Nino asks him to taste them. Though it is clear that Nino's dish is better, Fuutarou tastes them and declares it as a draw. Listening to this, Nino gets enraged but walks away after seeing a smile on Miku's face. Following this, Miku tells Fuutarou that he should behave properly with Nino to win her heart and lure her to study. Later, when Fuutarou is leaving, he realizes that he left his flashcards inside the apartment. He then quickly calls Miku, but she tells him that she's going to take a bath. Because of this, Fuutarou goes back into the apartment and tries to take the flashcards. During this time, Nino is not wearing her contact lenses and mistakes him for Miku. She seems angry at Fuutarou for intruding on the sisters' privacy and hits her hand on a high bookshelf, disturbing them. Fuutarou notices that the books are going to fall on Nino and rushes to protect her. Moments later, two of them can be seen lying on the floor in a compromising position and are caught by Itsuki, who also clicks their pictures. Moving on to the next scene, all the sisters gather around a table in the living room and begin a court-like hearing to decide if Fuutarou is responsible for what he did with Nino and whether he should be allowed to continue as their tutor. They argue for a while with Miku defending Futarou's actions. After some time, Itsuki takes a closer look at the photographs and mentions that it seems like Fuutarou was trying to save Nino from the books. Hearing this, Fuutarou becomes happy and thanks Itsuki for realizing it. With everyone on Futarou's side, Nino becomes very angry and runs out of the apartment. Fuutarou also gets his flashcards and leaves the apartment. Surprisingly, Fuutarou finds Nino sitting outside the apartment's entrance, crying. At first, he thinks that he should not step into others' family matters, but soon returns back and sits alongside Nino. Fuutarou then tries to make Nino understand that she does not actually hate her sisters, but hates him for invading their privacy. As soon as Fuutarou says this, Nino stands up and tells Fuutarou that she will never accept him as a tutor, regardless of her sister's approval. Moments later, Miku arrives there and tries to talk with Fuutarou, but Nino pulls her inside and takes her to their apartment. The scene then shifts to the next day when Fuutarou is studying at his home. Suddenly, someone knocks at the door and he goes to open it. Outside, he sees Itsuki waiting for him to pay his fees for tutoring the quintuplets. At first, Fuutarou refuses to accept the pay as he has not yet succeeded in making all of them study. But later, when Itsuki tells him that because of him her sisters are starting to change, he accepts it. When he turns to Raya and asks her what she really wants. Next, we see Raya playing different games at a game center and Fuutarou and Itsuki looking at her and enjoying. Here, Fuutarou tells Itsuki that because of their family problems, Raya has been compromised with a lot of things and he wants to fulfill all her wishes and desires. Soon after completing playing games, Raya calls both of them to take a photo at a photo booth. As it is starting to get dark, all of them decide to return home, and on their way back, Fuutarou tells Itsuki that she should read after reaching home. Right then, Raya runs into the other four sisters, dressed in yakuza for the fireworks festival happening that night. After seeing Raya, Yotsuba approaches her and invites her to see the fireworks with them. Fuutarou refuses at first, but when Raya requests to let her join them, he agrees, but on one condition. They should complete their homework before attending the festival. Hearing this, all of the girls quickly complete their homework and arrive at the festival. At the festival, Ichika flirts with Fuutarou and tries to tell him the secret about the girl's yakuza dress. Sadly, at the same time, she receives a call and secretly walks away without informing anyone. On the other hand, Yotsuba takes Raya around the festival and buys her some fish and firecrackers. Surprised to see the sisters excited about the fireworks festival, Fuutarou asks Miku about what is so special about it. Miku then explains to Fuutarou that they watch fireworks together because it reminds them of their late mother, who used to take all of them to the festival every year. Moments later, there is an announcement about the beginning of the fireworks show. Nino then takes Fuutarou to the rooftop that the quintuplets have rented to watch the fireworks together. Arriving there, she starts contacting her other sisters as she is the only one who knows the location of the rooftop. Suddenly, Fuutarou notices Ichika on the road, but when he tries to approach her, he is sent away by a strange man with a mustache. Next, Fuutarou finds Mika but realizes that she has a wound on her foot. While Fuutarou is putting a bandage on Miko's foot, a couple of women who are conducting a survey approach them and mistake them for a couple. Right then, Miku spots Itsuki and Fuutarou runs to get her, not before telling Miku to wait for him at the same place. While he is following Itsuki, Ichika drags him to a silent alley and urges him not to tell anyone about his meeting with the mustached stranger. She also tells Fuutarou that she cannot watch fireworks together with her sisters. At the same time, we are shown that the sisters are watching fireworks alone from different locations, and there are only 24 minutes left before the fireworks end.